Good evening, everyone. I'm really pleased to be connecting with all of you tonight. I haven't done a video on YouTube in about a week now. My guides had me focus on Instagram. We had a very beautiful momentum going. So we're going to give it maybe 2 more minutes, and then we're going to jump in. We're going to dive right into the subject. And the Arcturians have been wanting to come through on my YouTube channel lately. A lot of the stuff that I've been sharing on Instagram is more about corruption and vaccines and all of these other things. And all of that definitely needs to be talked about. Those subjects are not always easy to discuss, but they do have to be broached. But the Arcturians wanted to keep it fluffy on YouTube, meaning they want to keep delving deeper into the quantum teachings. And so I've been using Instagram for more of a forward or direct message, and I'm using this for more of the elaborate teachings. So we're going to begin because we already have 620 people in the house, and it's going up pretty fast. So we're going to start. I did have a conversation with the Arcturians tonight. We chatted up with Storm, if you will, and the first thing I want to preface with is many of you are probably wondering, why didn't he do a video about the winter solstice? And the Arcturians dissuaded me from doing so. And they wanted to explain why that is. First off, they want you to know that the event that many of us have talked about in the metaphysical community, in the New Age community, in our star seed communities, the event from one perspective has already happened. So they wanted you to know that. They wanted you to know that many more souls will be coming online and experiencing their own distinctive version of the event. But for many of us, it's already taken place. The reason why they didn't want me to title this video Winter Solstice or December 21st, 2020 is because they were very adamant about the fact that this entire teaching tonight is going to be about what they view as pollution or infection that gets embedded within the physical structure of the human. They wanted us to start really opening up our 3 eyes to when it is that certain teachers do videos just because it's the hot topic. And that's precisely why they advised me against doing a video about the winter solstice, because it can become a trend to do videos about the hot thing that's happening. But they wanted me to touch on organic momentum versus inorganic momentum. They were painting a picture of how many people in life, not only under the umbrella of metaphysics or esoterica, many people in life, they will grab these events or these different solstices and they will ride their coattails. It's kind of like piggybacking on the topic that should obviously be talked about, and how sometimes that doesn't always invite the highest frequency. So what it does is it ends up compromising that human's vibrational structure. You'd be surprised how many people will have a business idea, whether they're spiritual or not. They'll have a business idea and they start to pump it up with momentum or with energy but it's not an organic energy. And so what happens is they might manage to gain traction, in other words, to rev up their engine and to draw attention. But those inorganic momentums, those artificial momentums, thank you, Summer, I see you, they never really last. They're not sustainable. So what ends up happening is that person ends up falling off the wagon, and then they wonder why it's happening, or I should say why it's not happening for them. And that's because in that frequency of wanting to gain traction, there is still very much a reptilian component in the sauce. There is still very much a reptilian ingredient in that soup, which is to try to put up a facade to gain clout, rather than really following that invisible trail of what is natural, rather than needing to write coattails. And that's really important for people to comprehend, because I speak to so many people who don't understand why their business isn't going the way that they want it to. And it's because they're trying to force fit it, and it may not be time. And they're exerting so much effort trying to get this off the ground, but it's not coming from spirit. It's coming from ego. The Arcturians are highly proficient with being able to look at us and basically strip us naked. And they said that for many of you who have already undergone these upgrades that relate to the event are now Arcturian. We are the new humans. We are the advanced humans. We are the ETs that have come back into human form, and maybe it took us a while to remember and recollect who we were, but we are here now, and we are the representatives, or you could say the emissaries of light for the groups of the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, the Sirians, and the list goes on. And so always ask yourself before you endeavor to do something, what is your intention? Are you doing it because you're just wanting to regurgitate, or you're just wanting to replicate what someone else is doing? Because if so, you're still compromised. This isn't something that is to send people into a defensive posture or to make you get offended. The Arcturians don't have the same emotional structure as us. So when they look at us, they just see it. It's like an open field of information. Open field. What they said to me tonight was, many of you think that you're getting more psychic, when in actuality, you're really just removing the veils that kept you from your original frequency. So before, when you were still veiled and you were getting information, so you could be out with a friend and you would receive this influx of data, you liken that to becoming more multidimensional. The Arcturians are saying that from their perspective, you're not becoming more multidimensional, you're really just coming back to your original self. And what you perceived as becoming more multidimensional was really just the distortions of energy that you were picking up on others, meaning their own filters, meaning their own fragments. And evidently, when someone is highly fragmented, then there's more data to gather. There's a lot more data to gather. But are you really becoming more multidimensional? Or are you simply just seeing all the fragment play out in front of you? They are asking us to stand firm in who we are, to stand firm on the ground, and to reclaim your divine self, to reclaim these inherent abilities that have always been yours. But because you were in a state of amnesia, because there was a veil of forgetfulness keeping you from your original self, or your Arcturian self, or your angelic self, then you weren't able to see that you were simply reading the Akashic field. That's all. It's just data that's out in the open. And that's what they were referring to when they said that the event has already happened for a number of us. Because now you're not going to be skirting issues anymore. You're not going to be dancing with energies. And I know that you know exactly what I mean by that. When you're out with a friend or when you're speaking to a family member and they say something and you receive a download in that moment, meaning to counter that energy with truth, then you zip your mouth and you let it slide by. That was you dancing with the energies. The Arcturians are saying we're not dancing with the energies anymore. This is about being at neutral, 0-point field and seeing everything, all the dramas, all the stories, all the fragments playing out before our eyes. All right? Thank you so much for the donations. Now, I wanted them to give you an idea of the energy that they carry. I wanted you to glimpse their star system. So I said to them, well, why is it that when humans call upon you for physical contact, why is it that you don't make an appearance? Why is it that you don't welcome yourselves physically? And they said, we stopped listening to humans long ago. We don't answer to humans. We don't even answer to each other. We had to become a fully integrated civilization. We had to learn how to digest all of the information that surrounded us and consequently integrate that information to render ourselves into the multidimensional beings that we now are. And by virtue of doing so, by virtue of honoring all of our differences, we started working together symbiotically as a collective. But no one is below us in our star system. No one is above us in our star system. There's no superiority, inferiority. Everyone is the same. Everyone has something different and unique to offer. But many of us look the same because we don't have an ego anymore. Many of us understand the strengths that each of us has and how that lends itself to our star system and to the entire galaxy. So if you were to ask a Arcturian craft to come visit you, they won't answer to your demands. They're not going to respond to your request. But what they will do, and this is where you're going to really get it to glimpse into their energy, what they will do is that they're going to get you to amplify your desire to further connect with them. You're going to amplify your desire to further connect with them, to further develop a bond with them. And that is going to enable you to reach higher heights, to move into higher ground. And the byproduct of doing so is going to attract to yourself in this physical reality. It's going to attract to yourself more of what you need to then propel yourself even higher. So for instance, let's say that the Arcturians don't come physically visit me. For me, it's different because I really feel them in the sky. Like my third eye just starts to throb and pulsate and pierce. But physically, they haven't shown up in my room. But what they told me is it's because by not showing up in your room, you're pushing yourself to move beyond the confines of what you've already attained, consciousness-wise. So it pushes you to push yourself. And then, because your frequency is so high and you're moving through these different octaves of consciousness, Judith, I love you and I thank you so much. Thank you. Because you're moving yourself, you're vibrating yourself into these higher ranges of consciousness, into these higher octaves of consciousness, everything in the lower consciousness, in the lower octave, starts to take shape in your physical world, which is then going to motivate you and invigorate you to create more, to amplify even more desires. And before you know it, you're an Arcturian. But they really were emphasizing tonight that they don't want us to answer to humans. And they were cautioning all of us, when someone says something to the effect of, I'm going to wear a mask because I care about people. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my friends. So I'm using this example because it's current. When people say that, that is a telltale sign that they are compromised, because they're still answering to other humans. So you need to keep your eyes peeled for that behavior, because that behavior is questionable. The Arcturians don't need to be kind. They are kind. They don't need to try to be kind. What they are is they're fully integrated. And they were stressing tonight that, my God, I think this is the highest we've had on YouTube. I just want to take a moment to just, 1,257 people are online, you guys. This is so nice. Yay! I'm so jazzed. So they were saying that as long as you are concerned about what other people think of you, and you're doing it in the name of appeasing other people, you are still compromised. Because in order for them to become the Arcturians, in order for us to become the advanced human collective, it's going to be a matter of fully integrating from within and no longer concerning about what the external energies perceive you as or misperceive you as. So that's going to be really important moving forward. Really important. Think of the Arcturians, they want me to share this. Think of the Arcturians like this. You stand in front of them and there's nothing that you can hide. Even your deepest secrets, even your deepest memories from childhood that might have been petrifying, horrifying, or traumatizing, you cannot hide anything. You can't duck behind a bush anymore and hide anything, because what they do, they're so technologically savvy and so technologically advanced that they will look at you and in one glance, it's all there. Now, what they're saying is, as I speak, you will not be able to cultivate this ability. You will not be able to cultivate or develop this ability if you are still absorbing, internalizing information that doesn't belong to you. From their perspective, none of it belongs to you. Because remember, you're not becoming more psychic. You're coming back to neutrality. And in that state of neutrality, there is utter clarity. In that state of neutrality, there are no more games. In that state of neutrality, there's no more beating around the bush. It's all there, laid out in front of you. Now, thank you guys for the donations. I appreciate you. So, the advanced human, the new human, the organic human, are the ETs or the interdimensionals encased in this human form that have fully switched on their Christmas tree, their DNA. And we are now doing the work at the front lines to be these walking portals or these walking gateways to these other dimensions. So this is something else I wanted to share. They've been placing me, every time I meditate, they've been placing me in what they call a silent tank. At first I thought it was called a silent chamber, but then it became clear to me that it was a silent tank. And when I'm in there for a long period, everything is still, everything is quiet. All right, there's zero sound. I feel completely at peace, completely at rest. It is so recharging. It is so revitalizing. It is so replenishing. And it's a silent tank on their ship. And they said to me, Phil, when you bring that frequency of the silent tank back to the earth plane, that silence is a powerful, potent transmitter of frequency. So I said, can you please explain this further? Can you go in depth? They said, yes. They said, when you're with a friend who's making poor choices, or when you're with a friend who's in an unhappy marriage, so they're miserable all the time, they're grumpy, they're grumbling, they're complaining. When you're with a friend and they're spilling their guts out to you, they're getting everything off their chest, and you are just silent, you become a portal to us. You become a portal to the Arcturians. You become a portal to the galactic councils. You become a portal to the angelic realms. And what you do is you drop that frequency of silence like a seed. You drop that seed of silence in their energy field. That seed of silence is loving, patient, compassionate. It doesn't chime in and speak out of turn. It is very loving. It is also very safe. And so when they go back home to this disharmonious or unhappy relationship, and they start bickering, or maybe their husband or their wife is nagging them or criticizing them, right away, the seed that you implanted within them, they're able to subconsciously tell the stark difference between that seed of silence, which is holding a space, which is safe, and this other person that's closing in on them, that's causing them to contract. So you cause them to expand. Their daily situation or their the scenarios that they're in causes them to contract. And your silence spoke much louder than if you had interjected yourself and told them to leave the relationship. The Arcturians are saying to me as I speak, they're saying that whenever you want to connect with them, think of the word Christed light. Christed light. And you're going to feel a resonance of neutrality, of love, of unconditional acceptance. So that's what they are. They are ambassadors for that frequency. Next, meaning multiplied by 10. So then you're moving into the cosmos. You're moving into the development of these inner technologies. Now, they wanted me to run an exercise with you that has to do with telepathy, because they're highly telepathic. I'm already thinking of a color, right? And if I were to ask you right now, in this very moment, do you know what that color is? Most of you wouldn't figure it out. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you a few options. But right now, before I give you the few options, think of a color. And the Arcturians are saying 99% of you didn't get it. Now I'm going to give you options, and a lot of you will get it. Hold on now. Don't say anything, because I haven't given you the options yet. Now, because I'm telling you, none of you are going to get it right now. The Arcturians and I are like thick as thieves. They're telling me you're not going to get it. And you'll have proof of this in a minute, because none of you are right now. Okay? Now I'm going to share these colors, and then you can tell me. They were giving me the color green, They were giving me the color blue. They were giving me the color brown. Which one is it? Green, blue, or brown? Wonderful. So we're going to stop there. All right, so the color that they gave me was brown. They gave me the color brown, and they said that the people who accurately answered, it could have been a guess, or it could have been them receiving with exactness the color that was being transmitted through. Okay? But this is not the point of this exercise, because I probably would have gotten it wrong too. The point of the exercise is they wanted to draw our attention to the fact that we have so many filters that we can't even see. Meaning there are so many dimensions and different realms and different beings and different frequencies that are superimposed within this now. But as humans, we don't have full accessibility to all those dimensions, let alone colors. So just with that, do you get the idea of this? Like they just wanted to kind of bring this point home, which is that we have so many filters that we don't really see with accuracy or with exactness. And so from one perspective, we are still operating within limitations and restrictions and constrictions. Okay? But whenever you want to connect with the Arcturians, say the Christed light or think of the Christed light, feel into that frequency, and they will be there. The other thing they're saying is whenever you feel like you can't hear them, you're not hearing from them, they are there and they are saying, we are in that energy of doubt that you're not hearing us because we're always with you. We are never not with you. You're never alone. Now, the other thing they were saying to me tonight is that the reason why they won't visit you physically is because they're constantly going to be like these cosmic personal trainers that push you to push yourself, to keep amplifying your desires. And that, hold on, I lost my train of thought. They're pushing you to push yourself, to amplify your, the reason why they won't visit you is because they're going to allow you to go on your own journey without interfering. Because if they were to interfere, you wouldn't do the work. And they're doing the same thing with planet Earth. They are guardians of the planet. And I said to them, but why do you let her get abused? Why do you let her get raped? Why do you let that happen? And what they said was, we are guarding her in the experience that she's wanting to have. Just like we are guarding you in the experience that you're wanting to have. So in other words, if you want to stay at your job for a little while longer, because there's data that you're accumulating, remember the Arcturians don't see anything as negative or positive. It is all happening for the sake of universal expansion. So planet Earth may want to collect new data by seeing how people respond to a tornado or to a hurricane. But she's still encompassed or encircled by love and by protection. She's being guarded. We are being guarded while still having the free will to go through our respective journeys. All of us. Now, there's something else that they want us to talk about tonight. They wanted me to briefly touch on the 3D, 4D, 5D, just very briefly. And I already have videos about that, so if you want to go check them out, I have videos titled Explanation of 3D, 4D, 5D. I've done 2 or 3 of those, so you may want to go take a peek. And remember, go take a peek at all of my videos because all of them were very quantum in nature. Okay? So you might watch an energy update from 2 years ago and it's applicable now and very relevant now. Okay. The reason why they want me to talk about this is because they brought in information this week that I never heard before. So we've heard about the 4D being the rainbow bridge. We've heard about the 4D being purgatory, where you kind of evaluate your life. But they gave me new information that really landed with me. So 3D is the dimension of duality. Or another way to say this is 3D is the dimension of separation. 3D was a dimension of the ego. It was all about like, he did this to me, she did that to me, I'm going to do this to you just to show you or to punish you. It was a dimension of it's black and white and that's it. All right, you're either good or you're bad. You're either sinning or you're not sinning. You're either right or you're wrong. It's a very limiting way to think and to conceptualize. So 3D is the dimension of dualism. You did this to me, I did that to you. So it's all rooted in separateness, in the consciousness of division, in the consciousness of separation and segregation. So that's a very small way of thinking. It would be like saying, I hate my job, my boss is a total douchebag. It's a very 3D thing to say. All right. Why should I do this for her? She never does that for me. Very 3D. Okay. My parents abandoned me. They're assholes. Very 3D. It's all like a one-way street, and people don't think it cuts both ways. Meaning there's zero accountability in 3D. Sidebar, which is why everyone that is partaking in nefarious criminal activity on this planet is going to be exposed. The Arcturians are saying right now that, remember the example I used at the onset of this conversation about inorganic momentum, people who just talk about something because it's popular, or people who just press on the accelerator when there's really when God isn't really backing that invention or backing that thought. And then it eventually kind of fizzles out because it wasn't organic. That's basically what's going to happen to the dark structures on this planet. It was inorganic. It was very 3D oriented. And so it's going to phase out because it was all like this fake momentum on the news that they were using to get you to believe something that isn't true. So all of that is going to phase out. All of that is going to start to disintegrate because it's not organic. I love this download that they're bringing through right now. Okay. But I'm asking them, I speak very fast mentally. So I just asked them telepathically. I said, but why did it last so long? Like someone's YouTube video that isn't genuine is going to plummet real quick, or someone's business that isn't genuine or authentic is going to plummet real quick. Why is it that these 3D structures have taken so long to disintegrate? And what they said was because they were able to siphon and harvest people's fear, people's lower vibrational energies. And by virtue of doing that, they were able to control the human, to hold, they're using the word, to hold sway over humans. So the more humans they were able to recruit, the more they enslaved humanity. So they were able to lengthen their duration of entrapping humans. Okay. Now, I do want to say, because the Arcturians always say to me, make sure that you represent us well. They're saying that they don't operate that way. They don't point the finger at these dark structures because you need to have the contrast in order to awaken to your true power. You know, you need to awaken to your true power through the contrast that's being offered up to you every single day. And by the way, I can attest to this because I've been through so much in my life, but I don't have any stories anymore. I've dropped all of my stories because every story shaped who I am. Every story acted as fuel to push me to awaken, to drive me into my realization, or to drive me into my own reckoning. And so the higher dimensional beings understand that everyone's playing pretend and that people need to play out whatever dramas are going on with them to eventually come back to their truth and to their essential divine self. All right. So now they're coming in again and they're saying, I love that they're like very chatty tonight, because I told them that I didn't really feel comfortable always receiving plenty of downloads and then going online, because it's a lot to kind of like bookmark in my mind. And they're like, don't worry, just go online and we'll talk to you while you're talking. They're saying that what was I just saying? I was just saying that everything shaped me. I was saying that I've dropped all my stories. Anyways, I can't remember. What I wanted to say is that 3D is the inorganic matrix. It is a carbon-based grid system that is anchored in fear, that is anchored in separation. 4D, this is the new information that came in, okay? And I'm really happy to finally put a word to what 4D is. The Rainbow Bridge, beautiful. It's like, you know, you're leaving 3D, you wake up, you remember that like it's time to do the right thing. It's time to sanitize my soul. It's time to purify my inner being. It's time to clean up my act. So all that's fine and dandy, but I finally got a word for it. 4D is the dimension of integration. 4D is the dimension of integration. As you integrate your fear, as you integrate your excitement, as you integrate shame, blame, as you begin to trust yourself and entrust your guides and the highest of the highest, the God force, to bring you all that is meant for you, you start to move upward into the fifth dimension. Okay, so 3D is fear, duality. 4D, you know, you wake up, you're like a light bulb, you wake up and you're like, okay, now I know what I need to tend to. I know what I need to reverse or repair or course correct. But there's still a state of limbo, because you're like, I don't know if I can fully trust 5D and what I know, because I'm still used to this. So you're kind of straddling two worlds. You're juggling all these balls, the 3D and the 5D balls. And you're like, okay, which one? So 4D is literally the dimension of integration. When you integrate your fear and your excitement, and I'm sure many of you are thinking, why is he saying to integrate your excitement? I'll get to that in a minute. Then you're able to then transit into the 5D. 5D is the dimension of unity. 5D is the dimension of neutrality. 5D is the dimension where you don't have any stories anymore. So I personally don't have any stories anymore, meaning I understand the purpose that everyone served in my life, that everything served in my life. I can't delegate a blame game. I can't point the finger anymore. So now it's just about education. So 5D is also a dimension of education. You talk about things, you do talk about stories, but it's for the purpose of educating others, of helping people remember, of using metaphors, of using examples that happened to you. Okay? So the reason why I said it's important to integrate excitement as well is because, like I stated earlier, the Arcturians want to keep you moving in this upward spiral. And so often we have a victory. For instance, you see a synchronicity, or maybe you have an out-of-body experience or a paranormal experience, and then you're super excited and you can hardly contain yourself. And rather than sitting with that energy of excitement, which is still a frequency, then you might go and tell your friend about it. There's nothing wrong with telling your friend about it, but you also want to keep in mind, whether it's excitement or anger or sadness or fear or shame or blame or guilt, whatever it is that you're dealing with, You want to integrate all of it rather than reaching back down into the third dimension to then get a pat on the back. The Arcturians don't need a pat on the back. That's why the Arcturians are 100% sovereign. They are fully integrated beings. They don't do things for others. They are very aware of their own power. Every single one of them is aware of their power, and together they form a collective. No one is saying, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. Everyone has masterfully worked on themselves. Everyone is serving a very purposeful role in Arcturus. And we are here now. We are here. All right, we're the ground crew. We're the ones at the front lines. They're saying we're spearheading this ascension journey. We are spearheading this psychic warfare. All right, so what you want to do is bring back with you, when you go meditate, bring back that frequency of silence with you. Bring back that frequency of the 5D with you and start implementing it in your everyday life. Okay? But 5D, 0 stories. If you meet someone who seems to be pretty conscious and there's a charge between what they're saying, behind what they're saying, like an underlying energy, you will feel it now. Because again, the event has already happened for many of us. You will feel it when there's a splash or like a tinge of anger. You will feel it. And remember, their behavior is then questionable because it means that at some level or on some degree, they are still very much compromised. So again, keep your eyes peeled for people who do things for others. We have a chance right now more than ever to really, really fast track ourselves through this Stargate ascension. We have more than ever an opportunity to accelerate this process. But you're going to have to cut out all the noise. You're going to have to stand firm, like you have these giant boots on, and you're firmly planted into the ground. And when people speak to you and they say something that's misaligned, on an unconscious level, they're still manipulating you. And the Arcturians will deem that infection. They will see that as you infecting yourself rather than sanitizing yourself or giving the other person an opportunity to sanitize themselves. We can't get away with anything anymore. We can't duck behind a bush. Okay? I'm trying to think if there's any other message they want to share tonight. They're saying, you are going to leave out the very message that prompted you to do a video. I was literally about to rule out the very message that prompted me to do this video. So we were talking about the filters before with the colors brown, blue, green. And look, there's no wrong in not knowing what that color was. But it's about bringing our awareness to the fact that we don't know it all. That sometimes we receive a download and we skew it or we misconstrue it based on these filters that we have. So what we want to do now is we want to eliminate the filters. And what they said was, when you eliminate, you illuminate. When you eliminate, you illuminate. And the wonderful thing about this is that it goes both directions, okay? When you eliminate your fear, you illuminate your system. In other words, you remove the blinds. You pull the curtain back. You uncloak yourself. And you consequently give yourself more access to the quantum field. So when you eliminate your fear, you illuminate your system. Now, let's go the opposite direction now. The trigger that you receive from people whenever you're triggered by people, when they get under your skin, when they press your buttons, that is them illuminating you so that you can then eliminate your filters. So your triggers are your filters being illuminated, and then you can eliminate them. How are you going to do this? Remember, 4D is the dimension of integration. You're going to breathe through it. You're going to allow it to be there. You're not going to castigate it. You're not going to condemn it. You're not going to criticize it. You're going to allow it to be there. You're going to breathe. You're going to feel it. But remember this, and if this is the only thing you remember from this video, the key is to never act on that reaction. The key is to never act on that feeling or that negative charge that someone triggers you in. That's the key. The second that you act on it, you have given your power away. You have internalized, you have absorbed what someone was trying to do to you, and you've taken it a ship. You've taken it on board. So remember, you eliminate your filters, and then you become more illuminated, eliminate, illuminate, or the trigger is the illumination from that person or from your higher self through that person who's distorted, through that person who still has a lot of filters, but that higher self light, that Arcturian light can still pass through. What's that word? When you have a prism, it is refracting. It's still refracting through that individual, through their structure, and it's an opportunity to then eliminate your own filters. So the Arcturians are saying we eliminate, we illuminate, or we illuminate and then we eliminate. Does that resonate? Thank you so much, Mary, for that. And thank you, Sim. I saw your very generous donation. Thank you, love. Elon, let's see if there's anything else we need to talk about. I think for now, that's it. Just remember, you guys, there is nothing wrong with feeling neutral. Pay attention to when you do a fake laugh just to please someone. Pay attention to, this is another example they gave me this week. When you're at a crosswalk and there's like 5 seconds left on the timer, don't run for it. You're giving your power away. Take your time, conceptualize, innovate, create in the hyper realms. Create, start working with your mind. If you're at a crosswalk, don't run for it. Get the next one. What's the rush? If you get this one, you're feeding into your own lack. You're feeding into your own lack of integration. You're still feeding the 3D, 4D. Do you remember like 20 minutes ago, I forgot what I said, like I had a brain fart? I know what it was. The people who do those videos, just to piggyback on whatever's hot right now, whatever's trendy, they're still feeding into the very structures that they're trying to collapse. So it's very counterintuitive. You know, we have to start bringing our focus to every single thing that we power with our minds, with our thoughts, with our emotions. I don't know about you, but I can see it all. I can tell when there are smoke and mirrors, when there are people just doing things because it's what's popular right now. You know, I just don't buy into that. And a lot of my friends ask me, how is it that your messages are always so fresh? Because I don't follow the crowd. I don't. I tune in. My problem is I receive too much information. So sometimes, you know, I've had to learn to live with that, and it's become second nature, thank God. But anyways, yes, someone's saying, can you give me an example of illuminate and eliminate? Cool. You're at a crosswalk. The light is, there's 4 seconds left on the timer. Why are you running for it? Illuminate yourself instead and eliminate that filter that is telling you that you have to catch that light. Simple. Okay? You go on a date with a guy. You reach out to him. Hey, I really liked you. I'd like to see you again. If he replies, hey, I liked you a lot too, but I didn't romantically, I didn't feel a spark. I didn't feel electricity. Great. Thank that person for being honest. Eliminate your sense of rejection and use it for redirection into 5D. You see? Another example, you're at a stop sign, a car is there, and you're already walking, you've already begun walking. Are you going to speed up for that car? If you are, you're still a people pleaser. Honey, I'd be taking my time. I'm like, when I'm walking, I'm taking my sweet ass time, honey. If you fell on me, then you're going to have to integrate your impatience. You're going to have to integrate your impatience, sweetheart, because I can feel it and I will be your greatest teacher right now. No, but I'm just being flippant. The truth is I'm not going to slow down just to be an asshole. I'm going to walk at my pace. I'm not going to slow down. I'm not going to speed up. I'm having a good time. That's it. All right. So I know I like to be cheeky sometimes. It's good. It's good for the soul. I speak to myself all day long in my house, like all day long. I'm constantly cracking jokes on my own. I have to, because I hold so much energy and I'm always alone that I need to like let it out. I need to blow off some steam. I have to. Oh my God. What a wonderful session tonight. If you'd like to donate, my link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. feelgoodlife.com/donate. It is such a pleasure, such a privilege to connect with all of you. I will attach a link below, but it's very simple, feelgoodlife.com. And then if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And that will help me get the message out. I love you guys, and I will see you in another version of The Now.